Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. And in this one, I wanted to talk about the video game industry, my experience with it, and all the stuff that's been going on and what you should do for the future. Now, let's talk about it. So I've worked in the games industry and tech industry for about 12 years now. I started out at a very large company, went to a smaller startup, both of them within games. I left the first company. I was on a contract. I was not a full-time employee because I thought this other opportunity would be better. Well, after 2 months of being at the next company, the small startup, I was laid off, and that put me on a path to always be cautious of who I'm working for and what the situation is. So from there, I ended up going to another company, very small startup, like much smaller than the previous one. I was making more money, I had a way higher title. But the entire time, and I didn't realize this until after I was laid off from that company, the company I was at, the very small startup, had been trying to sell itself to another company the entire time. So, and just for more information, I worked in QA for 12 years. And, you know, working in QA, you got to deal with all types of stuff, including low pay rates depending on the company. Some of the biggest companies in the world will not pay you what you deserve. So that's unfortunate. And going to smaller startups, it depends. Some will pay you a lot more. Some will pay you a little bit more. But it really just depends on the company. And I was laid off a second time, but there was a silver lining because I had gone to an interview that same day at a different company, which was one of the biggest brands in the world, another large corporation, and was hired the next day. I was laid off after my interview, and then I was hired the next day. I received an offer letter. Way more pay, different title, and way better opportunity to work for a cool brand, to work on new products from scratch. It was great. And eventually I was laid off. So that's the third time I was laid off, by the way. And being laid off so many times within, tech and gaming sucks. But it opens your eyes to the truth, which is, I'm sure a lot of people know this, but companies don't have your best interest in mind. Companies are all about the bottom line, whatever returns they're getting every year and how to cut costs when they need to. And I wasn't the only one laid off during the 3 layoffs. There were multiple people laid off at each one of the 3 companies. So from there, I go back to the first company I worked for, took a massive salary cut just because I needed a job at the time. And I worked there for 2 months. It was in the same location, but a different building. And the 2 months that I was there, I worked with their, senior QA tester, who really didn't act like they had senior experience, was extremely unhelpful. And as someone who's been in a senior position before that job, I knew why they were there and why they were getting paid what they were getting paid. Yeah, I'm still salty a little bit. Because if you're bringing in new employees, you got to be helpful. You got to give them the information they need. And this person was extremely unhelpful and didn't give me any information. And yeah, it was a bad experience. But luckily I was only there for 2 months because someone I had worked with previously reached out, said they were looking for QA engineers. I went to this new company. Major pay difference. I was extremely grateful for that person reaching out, and I worked as a QA engineer there at a point of sale company. So I went from gaming to gaming to music to music to point of sale. And this was another startup. So I worked there for, what was it, like 2.5 to 3 years or something like that. And I was a QA engineer. Then I was promoted to senior QA engineer. Then I was promoted to lead QA engineer. I worked with a lot of great people there. Probably the best QA team I've ever worked with, just because of the knowledge, the experience, the way people got things done. And it was great for a while. And eventually, some people left within my department. And they took other people with them, which is no surprise. Like, I knew that was going to happen. But I'm glad I stayed. I'm glad I didn't follow the train and just go because someone else was going to another company and I wanted to be with them. I didn't want to do that. So I stayed. I worked there for another, I think, 1.5 years. The company was bought or acquired. And at that point, I was still a lead QA engineer. I was one of the few remaining leads at the company, at least on the part or the vertical that was acquired. And I raised concerns about a lot of different things. Well, I did that over the past 4 years I was there, but really as a lead, I kind of just, hey, what's going on with this? Are these environments set up? Why are these out of date? Who's using these? Are these integrations set up? And that was stuff that I was doing the entire time I was there. And, creating documentation, updating things, making sure we have proper ownership of different features and functionalities, things like that. So I was comfortable there for a while, and it was the longest I had worked for any company. And it got to a point where I just didn't want to be there anymore because I was bored. So I reached out. I had worked with someone before. They actually left my company to go to this other company. And eventually you got to a point where I interviewed, I got the job, I put in my notice at the current company. And it's funny how when you want to leave, all of a sudden they want to give you more equity within the company or a salary increase. All the things that you wanted before and they said they couldn't give you, now somehow they magically have that stuff to hand over to you. It's complete BS. But I'm glad I left because I didn't want to deal with that stuff anymore. And keep in mind, that company had 2 layoffs before I made the decision to leave. They had a third one after, and I knew that was going to happen. I had a meeting with the rest of the QA before I left that company and told them hey, this is what's going on. This is why I'm leaving. And it would be wise for you to keep your options open and learn different skills that you don't currently have under your belts right now, because that's going to be a determining factor in whether or not you stay here or you get let go because of layoffs. And unfortunately, a lot of them were let go because they didn't have the skill set. It sucks, but yeah, it's just another day in the life of businesses being businesses. So now that I left this company, I went to the new company, one of the biggest brands in the world again. I was happy. I was on the development side. It was a test lead for different features in another game. And I got promoted to senior test lead and moved to live ops, dealt with all of that, creating new processes, new documentation, test plans, all of that stuff. Met with multiple stakeholders about a bunch of different things. And eventually my position was eliminated along with the people on my team, and they made us producers. So I became a live services producer for a game and made a lot of changes, created a production timeline for different things. And yeah, it's interesting because as someone who has worked in the game industry but hadn't worked on a game this big, it blows my mind how unorganized people in departments and studios are, how much lack of communication there is, lack of ownership, extreme lack of ownership, out of date processes. It's insane. And it's kind of disappointing, honestly. So unfortunately, I took PTO. This was like 2 months before my birthday last year. And while I was on PTO, I think it was like 3 or 4 days before I was supposed to come back, I get an email with a Zoom link. And I'm like, huh, interesting. I'm wondering why I'm getting this. And it's with the head of the studio. I'm like, okay. And it was a pre-recorded video message that was sent out to multiple employees saying that our role has been eliminated. And they thanked us for our, hard work and everything on the game. And after that call ended, I lost Slack access immediately. And after that, my computer was remotely shut down. I couldn't say goodbye to teammates. I couldn't say goodbye to anyone in any other department. It was insane. So keep in mind, this wasn't the first layoff. This company last company I worked for last year was acquired by a much larger company. And yeah, I figured this would happen. I just didn't think it would happen in that way. And unfortunately, that has affected a lot of things. Obviously, now I'm sure some of you already know, but I had to start a GoFundMe page because I'm still out of work. I've been out of work for 6 months. I've applied to over 170 jobs, and I've been denied by maybe 20, 25 of them, and have received no updates on the rest. I just got unemployment insurance, but that's only enough to cover like half of rent every month. So I'm trying to find another job. It's just hard because the industry sucks. A lot of people in the games industry, tech industries have been laid off over the last few years. Some people are still out of work after being laid off over a year ago, and I don't want that to be me, but I'm not the only one going through this, and it sucks. So the games industry is in a real dumpster fire right now. I guess that's the only way I can put it. A lot of companies bet big on different things and constantly raising the goalpost for their expectations for however many copies a game sells, how much money they make, if that's more than the last game, if their budget is still the same year over year, like whatever it is, it just sucks. And a lot of layoffs have happened. A lot of studios have closed. And it's the same with the tech industry. This shit has happened so many times. And it's just upsetting. It's unfortunate. It's stressful. It's discouraging. And not to mention, on top of that, losing my cat Barry. It's been a month now, since we lost him. And it just sucks. Because you go through one thing after the other, and you try to be hopeful. There's moments where you are hopeful, and then there's moments where you get down on yourself. And having to deal with job loss after, loss of life and other things in your atmosphere that you're hearing about, and yeah, it's terrible. So, to anyone in the games industry or tech industry who is out of work and, was laid off and doesn't know what to do, just do you. That's all I can say. I'm at the point now where I've been streaming a lot on Twitch, streaming gameplay. I'm getting back to making videos here on YouTube about tech and different topics, reviewing products and other things. And I'm actually working on a QA course that I will be releasing probably in the middle of this year. And then a Notion template that I will be releasing in the next probably month for anyone who is a creator who wants to create a workflow or have a workflow that they can use for video ideation, all the way to filming and editing, to scheduling that stuff, to creating social media posts on different platforms, and having a schedule for all of these things and an organized place to do that stuff. And I'm trying to do what I can to, build my own personal brand and see where that goes. Because you can't rely on other people. You definitely can't rely on these companies. And it's unfortunate because, I work for some of the biggest companies / brands in the world over the past 12 years. And that does not matter. All of those big names on my resume don't matter because there's so many more people in the same situation with even more names on their resumes and longer resumes that are looking for work too. More qualified people, And I just want to say to everyone who's now unemployed because of a layoff, build out your personal brand, figure out ways to generate sources of income that aren't dependent on an employer. You can sell digital products, you can sell physical products, and, take the time that you have right now to create things. Create things that you're actually proud of, whether it's in the realm of gaming or technology or something else, art, music, just do that. Obviously, you still have to look for work. I'm in the same boat. I'm doing the same thing. But at least you have something that'll keep you going until you either find something or you turn what you're doing into that something. So, yeah. I wish you all the best in your journey, navigating through all this shit. It's tough being laid off and feeling like you're not wanted and dealing with all of that stuff while also having to worry about, can you pay rent? Are you going to have money for groceries? Are you going to find a job soon? All of that stuff, obviously, is stressful on anyone. But take this time to make a plan for yourself and multiple backup plans. And, create a list of things that you really want to do that you think you're good at, or share the knowledge that you currently have with others, whether that's through YouTube, like I'm doing right now, or through a product or service that you can sell online. You have to make do with what you got right now and try to focus more on you as a person and building out your own brand, because there's no telling how long this stuff will last with the gaming and tech industries. All these major layoffs started a few years ago at this point, and I've been in plenty of layoffs to know, it's not going to stop. It may get better, but it's not going to stop. So, again, take the time to take care of yourself, build out your personal brand, figure out what you're good at that you want to turn into something more than just a hobby, and how to share your knowledge with others in a way that will make that maybe a full-time thing for you going forward. So yeah, that's that's all I wanted to talk about. I know it's a long rant, and you know, I appreciate those who have watched this video, and leave comments below with what you want to do for your personal brand. Leave a comment if you worked in the tech and gaming industry and you were laid off, and ask questions about what you should do. I don't mind talking to people about this stuff. I talked to some of my Twitch streams before. I'm a pretty open book about all of this stuff because people need to know like what's going on with the game industry, tech industry, how do these things work, and what can you do to eventually turn yourself into someone that doesn't have to depend on a company. And like I said, right now, our household has been very fortunate because, we started a GoFundMe about a week ago. And, we've gotten a number of donations from some very kind people. Thank you so much. Because unemployment insurance does not pay what it should pay. Like I mentioned before, like it only covers half of our rent. We have so many other utilities and groceries and things we have to pay for every month. So we are very fortunate to have people take the time and share kindness with us. And, unfortunately, other people don't have that. And if you are someone who is in need financially, I would suggest starting a GoFundMe because you never know. I wasn't expecting to get anything out of this, but people were kind enough to support us, and it's really been a good thing for us to help us out while I'm still looking for work. So, yeah, if you are someone who wants to support our GoFundMe campaign, I will leave that in the description below. I will also keep you all updated on the Notion template that I'm putting together, the QA course that I'm putting together, and yeah, I'll be here uploading videos every week going forward on YouTube, and I'll be streaming live on Twitch probably 3 to 4 days a week going forward. My next video will be on Tuesday. My next live stream will be Monday. But yeah, if you want to check out any of my videos, just subscribe to the channel. And if you want to check out my live gameplays, follow me on Twitch. And yeah, I appreciate all the support everyone's been giving us over these past 6 months. It's more than I know some other people have received. So thank you. We couldn't do this without you. It's very, very important to our livelihood. And yeah, thank you for watching.